BIMStorm at a Distance, in partnership with the Asset Leadership Network and the National Institute of Building Sciences. We are in the middle of a pandemic that is changing our world. Participants at a distance include organizations, owners, and industry partners. Distance collaboration for BIMStorm has been enabled for 15 years now by open standards from Building Smart, W3C, OGC, ISO, and others. I'm Kimon Onuma, your BIMStorm at a Distance host. We are going to be using proven processes and tools to collaborate with stakeholders without physically being in the same location to make complex decisions about projects for healthcare and a response to this current pandemic that can be applied today to the future. This is a new normal that we're all faced with. How do we work on projects without being in the same room together and using open standards and BIM and GIS and facility management applications to advance the profession and solutions? As we have talked about for years, the building industry has process islands and has been challenged with sharing information across different user groups in the building lifecycle. This is not good for design and construction projects, but also is not efficient in an emergency situation like we are right now in this pandemic. The open standards allow us to talk between different systems and applications and users at many different levels. It becomes a digital platform for information to flow from one user group to the next, and we can use these as lessons learned for future applications. So this current pandemic is almost like a dress rehearsal. It's bad, but it's going to come around again. So this is an opportunity for us to look at how we can help the industry and also learn and teach for future incidents like this. So the BIMStorm has been going on for many years on actual projects and on sample scenarios where we learned how to use these different tools and how to collaborate. We all came from years ago in a world that we did not have digital technologies, but now we all have come to expect the ability to connect in real time and collaborate even though we're not physically in the same room. This is more apparent than ever right now with this pandemic. How do we collaborate in the most efficient way and find new solutions to these complex problems? BIMStorms have been going on since 2006 and have been used for even emergency situations like the planned Haiti BIMStorm in response to the earthquake, where we had hundreds of participants from around the world looking for real-time solutions and helping build up information about what was going on in Haiti. It was also used in response to the tsunami in Japan, where we planned on emergency shelters and even helped logistically to deliver products to Japan in a response to the emergency. It was used years ago in 2006 in a scenario for the Open Geospatial Consortium, where BIMStorm and Onuma connected building information modeling and GIS to have location information in real time with web services connected to other applications and users, including NASA and the General Services Administration and the New Jersey Port Authority, where a scenario was set up for a dirty bomb and how do we set up a field hospital and track patient flow through this building that was renovated to be used for a field hospital. Sounds very familiar with the pandemic that's going on right now. Then the National Institute of Building Sciences with Onuma have worked on a series of projects, including this for the Department of Veterans Affairs and Military Health System. This approach is being applied to other users and organizations through NIBS right now. And essentially, the Department of Veterans Affairs and Military Health System had a system called SEPS, the Space and Equipment Planning System, that configures the program requirements for healthcare facilities with rules in the background that output requirements that can then get handed to the architects and engineers and builders. We guided them towards taking the data that has these rules and a catalog of their equipment, for example, and taking it out of static documents or systems that were not accessible and making them publicly accessible on the web that was then used to drive into building information models and all the way into the life cycle. This pattern of needing a good catalog of information to be able to share within an owner organization and to communicate efficiently to the building industry is foundational to everything that we have been doing about the BIMStorm and what we will be doing for this current BIMStorm swarm as well. As we look on the web and the reaction to the pandemic, we see organizations and designers and architects and engineers and builders coming up with really creative solutions in response to how do we set up a quarantine facility. This one's coming from Manila on an architectural firm. This one is from Europe and Italy for modules built in shipping containers to be rapidly deployed. Notice the information about the equipment here as well. And this, obviously, from the Army Corps of Engineers that's currently installing temporary facilities in hotels and arenas and dormitories, and all of their background information of what should go into these facilities. All of this is really great and very important and timely information, but it is in many different formats, and a lot of it is kind of in PDFs and Word documents. So how do we take this kind of information and make it more like an Amazon shopping cart where we can pick and choose and have rules in the background that allow us to rapidly configure a building? And that's what we have been prototyping for the last few weeks, and we'll be making it one of the first exercises in the BIMStorm of looking at information about facilities, inserting it into existing facilities, or building new and temporary facilities as well. We have chosen a site in Washington, D.C. at the Armed Forces Retirement Home, where we had a BIMStorm last year, and set up some planning scenarios here that can then be replicated around the world. So the first exercise is to identify requirements. And like I mentioned earlier, this is not only for the current pandemic. It's obviously we're looking for solutions that could help in a response to the current pandemic, but also to build up the industry and understanding of how we can become much more efficient at collaborating and using common standards and applying it and helping owner organizations regardless of where they are and what their needs are. Thank you for joining us at a distance. BIMStorm.com